Welcome to this quick start video on the Honeywell XNX transmitter. These videos are intended to give you a quick step-by-step process for utilizing the many capabilities of this instrument. As always, refer to the manual for details and follow all safety recommendations. In this segment, we'll focus on bump testing, calibrating, and setting the calibration due interval on the XNX transmitter. Again, calibration functions require a level 1 password, so I'm going to use the magnet and trip over into the passcode level. Default is 0000, so that arrow mark is going to index across until I can accept. I'm now in my main menu, and these functions are going to be relative to calibration, so I'm arrowing over from information past the test menu into our calibration mode. Check mark to accept that function, and now I'm in my calibration menu. Within the calibration menu, we've got actual gas calibrations. We've got things called, we describe as bump tests, and then we also do a calibration of the 4 to 20 milliamp output. We actually went through that menu in the loop verification video. For what we're purposes today, what we really want to start with is a bump test. Now in our world, a bump test is a way to check calibration performance. All the XNX sensors are pre-calibrated. And that calibration information is stored down in the sensor itself. So the intelligence is there with that technology. In some cases, people need to do bump checks where they just want to verify, not change a curve or output of the sensor, but verify that it's still in range. That's for us is the bump test. And again, we'd enter into this menu, we'd arrow over accepting it, and then in this menu we end up in a current concentration range. We'd end up putting on a known concentration, 15%, whatever number in the case of oxygen, or 50 ppm of CO. You'd have your challenge gas, and you'd apply it, and you'd make sure that you're reading within that target gas range. So that's a bump check. It's a quick field verification. Doesn't change any of the sensor set points or setup functions. It's just a way to make sure the sensor is reading what you want it to read. In the case of a calibration, we would go back, if we wanted to change something, let's say, we'd enter in the calibration menu. Calibration menu, again, enter. In this case, we're going to tell it what our span gas is. Our default is 20.9. The acceptable ranges, you can see, are listed, minimum and maximum. So I put in the concentration that's on my calibration gas cylinder, enter that value. I'm going to calibrate this on ambient air. You enter this function. The instrument tells you to apply span gas. As you've got your gas flowing into your sensor, there's the check mark that says, yep, I'm ready. The X would be exiting, or I want to bypass this. So I'll go ahead and accept it. And the instrument is now spanning. So you've allowed gas to stabilize and flow, and now the instrument's saying, this is what my challenge concentration is going to be, or it's what's going to be reported. So in this case, the process is actually changing the output to make sure it's in range. In this case, the instrument's accepted, it passed. If there was a condition where the sensor was aged, wasn't able to be calibrated anymore, this is where you'd get an indication telling you that you've faulted out, you don't have enough range left in the sensor. So we've passed, that's acceptable, and again, now we can come back with this screen turning off the inhibit, which we talked about in a previous video, where we're sending off an inhibited signal to not set off alarm functions, and then we accept that function and we're back into our main menu for calibration. We can exit out of this completely, and we're back into a standard reading with now a newly calibrated sensor. Last function that we wanted to do in this video is setting a calibration interval. Some companies want to have an instrument calibrated on a routine interval, and so we allow you to set that date range in the instrument. It doesn't mean that the sensor stops working, but what it will do is flag you with an intermittent fault, and the display will indicate the fact that you're past due. It's asking to be calibrated. To get to that point in the menu, we're going to move from calibration back into our configuration area. We're going to go into that configuration menu, and we'll scroll through these functions, setting the time, alarm levels that we've done in previous videos, latching functions that we talked about, and then it gets to a display for calibration interval. When that's displayed, check mark to accept, and you can see here that a default was set at 180 days. I'm going to enter that, and if my safety policy is that I want these calibrated every quarter, we'd simply put in a 90-day timer. So you'd index over to 90, make that your current your current requirement, and then accept that value. You can see what's available is you can set 0, which turns off that cal reminder, or the maximum that would be allowable is 365 days. The sensor simply will not allow you to not calibrate it to operate past that period of time without having a calibration event. But again, you can set whatever your safety policy is and make that an automated reminder that calibration needs to accomplish according to your policies. When that's accepted, your option here again is always to move over. You can either accept, so it will now change it to the 80 days, or if we don't accept and we back out, we go back to whatever our default function is. So in this quick period, we've shown functions for doing a bump check, performing the gas sensor is operating in an acceptable range, formal calibration, and then also the ability to set that calibration interval as a maintenance reminder. Thank you for watching these Honeywell XNX Quick Start videos. The Honeywell XNX Universal Transmitter is an extremely powerful and capable industrial gas detection platform, but it's very easy to configure and very simple to use. Remember, these videos do not replace the manuals, and you need to understand what's contained in those manuals and the safety warnings as well. Please let us know if these videos have been helpful, and if you've got ideas for other videos, please let us know that as well. We'd like to find out ways to help. Additional information on this product can be found at www.rayco.com or at the Honeywell Analytics website. Thanks again.